What's up, everybody? Jeremy Ritz, Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading. Excited to be sharing my market analysis with all of you for the week of April 7th. What a bloodbath last week was. The market got crushed off of tariff news after a little bit of a bounce Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that selling really intensified on Friday. And we really are expecting to see more market weakness this week. We do have some important data that's coming out. We're going to get CPI and PPI on Thursday and Friday, so we'll get an idea of what is happening with inflation. So that's going to be interesting, and that will move the markets. And we're also going to get the Fed minutes from the last month's meeting to see, is there a hawkish tone? Is there a dovish tone? What was their concern? That will move the markets. That's coming on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then really the big focus for this week is we're going to start quarter one earnings. And what I'm really watching, and I've talked about this quite a bit here on the channel, is Friday, April 11th, the big banks are reporting: Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, BlackRock. So we're going to get to see the health of the financial institutions, but more importantly, get to hear the CEOs talk about forward guidance and how they see tariffs and these things impacting the market moving forward. So big week, but let's jump into the analysis here and take a look at key levels for the broader markets, what things are looking like, and take a look at some individual tickers, and let's go. All right, so let's just start out here with the SPX. We could see from all-time highs to where we fell this week. We actually filled the gap from May 2nd of 2024. Which is over here. We had that little double bottom pattern. We had a bit of a sell-off last April as well. And we actually took out the flash crash low from this past August. Notice we cut right through that 100 SMA on the weekly, and we're headed down to 20%. There's really not a lot holding us up, not much of anything here. And really the area I'm watching in terms of price action is the 2022 all-time highs around 4,800, seeing if we could potentially get a bounce there. But probably tomorrow we're going to see more intense selling. I talked a little bit about, potentially a repeat of Black Monday. Rarely when things are telegraphed or expected do they happen, but let's see what transpires Monday morning. But the SPY is looking very, very weak. Look at all that volume that came in here. It's just a massive chunk of bearish volume. You can see we're highly oversold here. And when we take a look at the weekly, I mean, that's a bearish engulfing candle if I've ever seen it, breaking below that 100 on the weekly. Again, we're looking at 20%. We'll get there tomorrow. We're at about 17.5% in terms of a correction. Remember, bear territory starts whenever we get over 20% of a drawdown. So again, it's probably likely we're going to hit that area tomorrow. If we jump over to the QQQ, we could see, again, we're down at that August flash crash low. We actually took out that candle, and there's nothing below us in terms of support from a moving average standpoint until we get to that 200 SMA on the weekly. Again, lots and lots of bearish volume that came in there, oversold on the RSI. We're probably going to come down even more. And if we measure this out just to see the percentage down we are from those all-time highs, it's 21.85%. So the Qs have entered bear territory. And that's pretty consistent when we look at some of these other tickers of the indices. If we look at the IWM, this thing is down almost 28% from its all-time high. 28%. Remember, Tom Lee this past summer said that this was going to be the year for small caps. Well, that's taken a big hit from all this tariff news. And remember, IWM small cap stocks are very sensitive to interest rates because of the debt that those companies carry. So there's pressure on small caps. If we look at the Dow Jones Industrial, we can see here we broke through a major support there, the 100 SMA on the weekly. If we're looking at the DIA in terms of what the correction has been here so far, over 15%, you can see that there's support down here at the 200 SMA on the weekly, uptick in bear volume, oversold. So really, when you're looking across the board at all of the broader markets, you can see that there's significant weakness at play right now. And it doesn't look like there's any end or relief in sight. We're probably going to get more selling on Monday, probably hit that 20% mark. And then let's see if bulls are willing to step in there, if buyers are willing to step in there, if they think that that's enough value for them to buy up positions. But more than likely, we're not going to see that because all of the uncertainty surrounding tariffs, the market doesn't know how to fully price that in. And if a full blown trade war happens, that's not good for the market. And we can see things fall even further. So, really, what I'm watching, and again, I look at the SPX just for overall health of the market. I'm looking for that 4,800 mark, a retest of those 2022 all-time highs as potentially the bouncing spot. I'm going to actually draw a little arrow to that. And that's where bulls should step in. And if they don't, then there's reason to be concerned that this could fall even further. And we just have to watch and see how it plays out. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin, I did publish that there is a death cross forming here. We could see the 50 simple moving average on the daily is about to cross through the 200 simple moving average on the daily. That's what defines a death cross, when that 50 cuts down below. And you can see right now, at the time I'm recording this, Bitcoin is down 1,600 points. And really, Bitcoin was holding up well through the sell down. Last week, it's kind of moving sideways right now. It does have support down here at the 50 SMA on the weekly, which it nearly got to back on March 11th when we hit that initial bottom that has since been taken out. But keep an eye on Bitcoin with that death cross coming into play. And look at this candle on the VIX. This is just insanely absurd. Look how large that candle is. It speaks to the volatility, the fear that's in the markets right now. And what's crazy is it was higher back in August when we had that flash crash. So let's see if we can go further here. But keep in mind, too, the VIX, when it peaks like that and gets up high, it doesn't stay there forever. So let's see if the market can get any positive news to generate some buying, some of that fear to come out of the market. And but that's just insane right now. And then taking a look at the 10-year treasury, we can see that this continues to fall. We did get some buying here at the end of the day on Friday. But remember, with the 10-year, this is connected to mortgage rates. So as this comes down, we could see mortgage rates start to decline a bit. So this is actually good for the housing market. And what else did I want to take a look at here? TLT, which can be a flight to safety trade. This is the 20-year treasury bonds. We could see that it did hit that 100 SMA on the weekly, got rejected. We had some selling there, but there is support right below it, the 200 SMA on the daily. So we'll see if this gets more of a push higher on Monday when we open. So again, broader markets looking very weak, lots of bearish engulfing candles. Strength is to the bear side, but keep in mind that eventually there's going to have to be some type of technical bounce off support levels. And this thing just can't continue to free fall, right? There has to be some type of a relief bounce or shorts covering, or you're going to have large institutions, big funds who are making purchases. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a complete reversal. We're going to shoot back up to all-time highs. But when you do have bear markets or market corrections, you do get relief rallies to the upside, similar to what we saw on the SPX back here from the 13th up into the 26th. We were tested up into that 200 simple moving average on the daily. And so we might see something like that, a little bit of a bounce and retest before making the next leg lower. So just keep that in mind, but definitely looks like there's more weakness ahead coming this week. Now let's just take a look at a few individual charts here. Again, we had a death cross on NVIDIA. I think 2 weeks ago, this triggered, and we're down very low here on NVIDIA. Closed at 94.31, but it should have some support down here at the 100 SMA on the weekly. If it would break through that, you have the 200 quite a ways away at 54.92. But we should get some buyers stepping in here at this 100. You could see there's a confluence of price action back here from last year, but man, NVIDIA has taken a large hit from its all-time highs down to where we are now. It's down almost 40%. Taking a look at Google, this longer-term trend line that started, when was this here? March of 2023. We broke below this a few weeks back. It's dropping down below the 100 SMA on the weekly. There is a gap from March 15th of the previous year that potentially could find a bounce here. But this one too is taking a beating, as is Alltech. What are we looking at here? About 30%. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a bounce. We are a tiny bit oversold there on the RSI. Taking a look at a few others. Apple, we could see here, we are down below another longer term trend line here, below the 100 SMA on the weekly, oversold. So let's see if Apple's going to get a bounce. They were hit particularly hard with the tariff information, being that a lot of their production occurs in China. They do have earnings coming up here soon, but just a lot of weakness there. Tesla, if we take a look at Tesla, I'm watching these lows from March 11th when the price action got down here to about 216.84. Are we going to come down and retest that area? Do we get a bounce out of that? And if we break through that, this 100 SMA in the monthly could be a target. Earnings is coming up on April 22nd, so keep an eye on that. And let's just take a look at a few more. Coinbase does have a death cross here. Keep an eye on Bitcoin if those two are going to work together in synchrony. There could be some more downside movement on Coinbase, especially if Bitcoin continues to fall and other crypto really just dumps. So I am watching Coinbase to the downside a little bit more. And then just a few more here. I'm going to take a look at Meta. This is one that I'm going to consider starting a position in because it is getting into value levels that I like. We are below that 50 SMA on the weekly. Want to see if it can come down to that 100, then I will start nibbling on some shares for a longer term position here. That's 457.81. They'll have earnings coming up on April 30th, so the end of the month. So going to definitely keep an eye on that one. And just the last one that I want to take a look at here will be Netflix, because they're going to be reporting on April 22nd. So I haven't updated my my lines here, but again, bearish engulfing candle here, following an inside candle that we had. This was on Tuesday. We pushed out of that, but got rejected by that 10-day exponential moving average. And this bearish candle just took out the recent lows that this had back March 10th. We do have some support below us at this. I believe this is the 200 EMA. Let me just verify that. No, that's actually going to be, yes, that's the 200 EMA on the daily. And then you have the 200 SMA on the daily. So it could find some support here. Let's see if it drops down into these support levels and maybe it gets a bump off of earnings. So, but that's the take here on the markets. As you can see, things look very, very weak. There's more downside in store for us as we head into April 7th. Don't forget, we get inflation, CPI Thursday, PPI on Friday. Wednesday is going to be the Federal Reserve minutes that are going to be released. And don't forget, big banks earnings on Friday. And I put together a video this week talking about why earnings could be the catalyst that sends us our next leg lower. So check that out. I have that linked in the show notes. It's the Traders Podcast, episode number 50. If you have questions or tickers that you want me to look at and analyze in videos, please drop those in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this video, and I will see you for another market analysis review preview next week. Make it a phenomenal day. Take care, everyone.